Hello, everybody, and welcome to this very special hangout. We have Rachel O'Brien here with us today. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, beautiful.
And so Rachel and I had a conversation, I think it was in Malaysia, and it was so cool. Like, we talked about pragmatic psychology and this topic of so you think you're wrong, and how many people run around with absolute wrongness in their world nonstop about everything they do, say, create, not do, not say, and how they drive themselves crazy and how much they stop their lives. So Rachel and I had the idea to get together and have this pragmatic psychology hangout together. And I just want to actually hand over the word to Rachel. What's this about? Like, what made us create this hangout together?
I'm just going to give people a little bit of background, just a little bit of my story. When I was 30, I had massive seizures. They were called post-traumatic stress. And I was told by a psychiatrist and a psychologist that I would never be right. So when I heard about Susanna Mittermaier, and I don't even really remember how we met, what I do know was when I found out this amazing, joyful girl with a smile and brown eyes and a softness in her world was a psychologist, I just got super happy. In fact, even right now, when I acknowledge that there's someone in the world who's a psychologist and willing to be what you're willing to be, it still blows my mind. So how did we get so lucky for what Susanna has chosen and been willing to be here with a different, what's that? This gets created with the gratitude that we have for each other. So when I heard she was a psychologist, I had trained as a transpersonal counselor myself. And I was really interested in psychology done from the place of the good of the person that is actually like sitting in front of you. So when we look at a diagnostic or someone saying, oh, you're never going to be right, there's nowhere to turn in that. There's like all roads lead to a wall of wrongness, you know. So that would have affected me with my body. It affected me as a parent massively, and my kids did bear the brunt of that. They're all happy now, and Susanna knows them all. So basically, this journey of meeting this amazing girl who chose to step away from the matrix and the training of what it is to be a psychologist, and like what you've chosen to catch that and go, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually birthing a new type of psychology to the world. And it's not about making someone wrong or someone right. It's actually about acknowledging who they are and actually being pragmatic here and find out what the hell is actually not working, so that you can begin to actually have your life. So for me, I didn't expect to get so much gratitude around this. I just really get that this beautiful lady with me here is changing our world, and I will do anything to support that.
Thank you so much. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we both didn't expect that one. Thank you so much for this. And I just gotta say, so with the topic of, so you think you're wrong, just like we didn't rehearse this. We just said, okay, we're gonna go on this hangout with this kind of topic. But what I just get right now while we're talking is, you know, in this world where being wrong is so normal, like you're supposed to be wrong.
Yeah.
Not supposed to be right and have ease. You know, if you look around and just see what world that we are living in, you probably were not handed much else than being wrong and focusing on the wrongness of you. And even if you want to become better, and even if you want to have different results in your life, whatever area of life it is, whether it's relationship, money, business, and you want to improve, in our world, you're still supposed to look at the wrongness first before you get to the rightness. So we do live in a very interesting world. And what Rachel just did is she actually showed what else is possible beyond it. And I'm going to put words to that. What she did is acknowledgement. She acknowledged something in my world where I went, wow. Because when she said what she said, I actually haven't really, like, okay, this is like really funny to talk about this live. It's like, because this is like really live realization right now. I haven't really acknowledged that what I really create, and it just made in my world just right now as she was speaking. And so this is actually exactly that is what's getting you over being wrong. So if you think you're wrong and looking for what's right with you, like from a judgment point of view, it's just going from one extreme to the other. But if you acknowledge like who be I, what am I beyond all those diagnoses, what am I beyond all those problems that I've never ever acknowledged? And when you ask that, there's probably not going to be, maybe it is, but probably there's not going to be anything cognitive coming up. Oh, I'm good at this, I'm bad at that. No, this is bigger than that. This is bigger than your traits and your personality things. It's where you actually get to acknowledge, who am I beyond all those things that I've decided I am, that I'm good at, bad at, that who am I beyond all my problems? Who am I beyond the diagnosis that I got? Ask that question and then allow yourself to be shown. And this maybe it comes today, maybe there's some pieces of that come into your world tomorrow or in the next days or week. But that is such an amazing key to create something different as your world and open up more space for you when you ask, who be I beyond all of this that I'm supposed to be? Wow. So, hey, Rachel, like talking about that, so you think you're wrong. Is there anything in your world that you found helped you getting over this constant need to make yourself wrong?
Well, I suppose first and foremost is a lot of people that I know that have this inner torment, let's say, I see them and like they step into joy a lot faster than anything else in their lives. And it's like there's this conflictual universe going on. And when I realized that this conflictual universe actually wasn't mine, and that I was trained from a very young age to be like, this is wrong and this is right, and don't go outside the lines as a little girl in school, and this is what you must eat, and this is what a good girl does, and this is what a bad girl does. So like we have to be an allowance of, we call that in Access, align and agreement and resistance and reaction. And you talk about this quite a bit. So if you look at, like, if you're aligning with the wrongness, then you're making yourself wrong. But if you're resisting it, then you're trying to make yourself right. But you still have no ease in that. There's still no choice in that. So I suppose my beeps are going off. I hope you don't hear those on the Hangout, do you? Okay, so basically, I suppose initially I knew that there was something different there, and I was aware of a level of self-judgment. And I really get, guys, that anyone that starts to look at, hey, what's this thing, judgment? And that's really heavy and it's not fun and there's not a lightness in it. I really get that has to be who we be, that question beyond that definitions. That has to be who we be beyond that, because if we weren't, how could we even see the judgment? You know what I mean? So for me, when we have these conversations, it's like, is there somewhere in you where you actually like question the judgment, or someone says something to you and you know it's wonky and weird, and it's not that energy of being a fun little girl or that joyous place? And I suppose for me, I had read a book called The Course in Miracles, and The Course in Miracles talked about everything. Your life is a gift. Now, if you look at that, going back in the naivety, I didn't actually get that my life was a gift. I didn't have that sense that, oh, life is a gift and I can play with these friends. And so I didn't have that. So there was a message that I was willing to receive, which is life is a gift. And then I wasn't in congruence with that, because there was all this judgment and this twisting and this turning, which is this reality. And somewhere, obviously, I was walking towards the gift and the ease, which they talked about. And there's no gift in wrongness. There's no gift in rightness. Like, there's no peace in being right. There's no peace in being wrong. Because if you're looking to be right, you can only turn right, you know?
And in the beginning, you said that there were doctors or whoever who gave you names for whatever wrongness
Yeah.
they thought they saw. And so what got you out of that? I mean, like, hearing from somebody, you have this and this, and this is what's going on for you. So what changed? How did you change that?
It's so strange, because when I was lying in the bed and the psychiatrist that said that, I knew it was a lie. I don't even know how I knew. Somewhere in me, somewhere knew that no. Yeah, and there was a point, like, where, okay, we have these bodies, and if you look at a little baby and they come in and they're all soft, how does your body end up being so contracted and going into seizures? There was something that didn't match energetically. And I started to ask my body, hey body, like, what's going on here? And it's so funny, it wasn't too long after that my sister rang me up and said, hey, there's this thing called Access Consciousness. And I had been asking for body work. I knew that this stuff was locked in my body. So I knew that I didn't know what it was, but I knew that there was a way that I could actually get this out, or that there was stuff in it. Didn't make sense to me when I looked at my babies when they were born. It just didn't fit in my world. How can this level of trauma be in a body, and this level of not having fun with my body, not having peace with my body, not having ease with my body? How can this be? There has to be something that's interrupted that joy and that space.
And that's such a great point, that you said two things. One is that you knew that what the experts told you was not what was going on. So you knew, and you said, I didn't know how I knew, I just knew. So it was not a cognitive, oh, I know, and something you can explain, but somewhere you knew. And that's what we talked about earlier when I asked, so who are you? Like, those of you listening, who are you? What are you beyond those problems that you're making real, that you've never ever acknowledged? Because in that moment when you actually acknowledge, wow, I am more than that problem, I'm something greater than that thing that the experts make real, then you set yourself off to a totally new journey that you in that moment don't know where it leads. You have no clue how it looks like. You might not even know what the next step is, but you just know that you start to trust what you know and know that you know. And this is, for me, what psychology is supposed to be about. Not what other people think about you, not the behavior you're supposed to change, but acknowledging and knowing what you know. Because this will always be greater than any limitation, any problem that you think is so real, because you wake up with it again and it seems so real. And you get to see that those things, those limitations, are more like the Matrix, really like the film The Matrix, and that there's a bigger world beyond it. And as Rachel said, you might not exactly at that moment know how it looks like, or you might not see where the next step leads you. You just know that. And like Rachel said, you know that there is something else possible. And you have no cognitive clue how that looks like. You just know that. And if you listening to this hangout just have this thing from now on in your world more than ever before, that you know something that other people cannot validate, but you trust that you know, and you trust that there's something else possible, and you just keep on going and following that, knowing there will be something greater showing up. And might not right away in the next second, but if you have an ounce of patience, right, there will be something greater showing up. So how was that for you, Rachel? Like when you
Totally.
made that choice?
So I made that choice, and I just knew, my body knew. I had swam in rivers, I had sat at the side of the cliff and felt the sunset on my body. So I had these glimpses of joy, but they were just glimpses, and then I would go back to this again. And the other piece in all this was, I actually didn't spend an overnight in a psychiatric ward. I went in voluntary into a psychiatric ward because I thought all these like thoughts of wrongness were mine. And I just spent the afternoon in there, and it's really funny. Like, I met the most beautiful people inside there. And I remember like just thinking to myself, Jesus, the people that are in here are a lot more like me, and the people that actually like are, I remember going down to the bathroom and seeing this beautiful friend of mine. There's a Buddhist retreat center in West Cork we used to go to together. And I was like, you're in here. And she's like, you're in here. And we just looked at each other and started laughing, and there was this sense about, okay, there's something really not working here. How come the most beautiful, gentle, gorgeous people are the ones that seem to be the most sensitive and making themselves the most wrong? So I knew, I really knew within me that there was something that people had, and the gentlest and most caring and most kindest people seem to be the ones that had made themselves wrong even more in my world.
Yes, exactly. And it's exactly that total twist in our world. The most brilliant people, the ones that truly change our worlds, the ones that bring something greater and different to our worlds, are most of the time those that make themselves the most wrong. And so both Rachel and I, with this hangout, it's a big invitation to all of you who have the sense of, oh gosh, that's totally speaking to me in my world. Like, everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Like, truly, if you're someone that thinks you're absolute the wrongest of the wrong of the wrongest of the wrong, please ask again, who am I and what am I beyond all of that wrongness that I haven't acknowledged? And what am I bringing to the world that nobody else brings to the world? And I remember the same thing when I was working in psychiatry and I met people who were locked up. They're different versions. They're like this inpatient and outpatient versions. And so the inpatient version, the locked up version is like both of them, where I just went, oh my God, like, just like you said, these people were there so often, have not been acknowledged for the brilliance that they are. And because they're so different, because nobody gets they're different, they are locked up and made wrong. While if we would acknowledge their difference and ask what is their capacity that nobody else has acknowledged, and we would teach them how to use it, we would enliven businesses, we would change our world in no time. So this is what we're inviting to. And this is a very big conversation. There's a lot to talk about. Like, this is just a little invitation of what else might be possible beyond making ourselves wrong.
And I suppose something that I really would invite anyone who, even if you come across this in 5 years, because people find information when they're looking for it. For me, I had an aunt, and she was my mother's. She was actually a year older than my mom, and they were born. My mom had me downstairs, and she was upstairs having her daughter. So we were born in the same hospital, and that aunt of mine spent 28 years in a psychiatric unit. And I saw my aunt going in and out of psychiatric units, and I didn't see any healing taking place. I didn't see her, getting greater, beginning to spark, beginning to light. And I remember having a conversation with her before she died, and she had this level of like she had done something radically wrong. And it was so funny because as a little girl, out of all the people that are around me, she was like, when I didn't want to go to school, she used to left me like skip school and feed me these Irish chocolates called Scots clans, because she got that like school was intense. And she had this gentleness and kindness and caring in our world. And I actually made a commitment to myself and to her, when she was dying, that whatever it took for anyone with the level of awareness and the level of kindness and caring, that I would get the tools out to the world. And it was so funny. I know that she made peace with her children. I was there shortly before she died. And it really, when you look at like the bravery that it took from you to, as a psychologist, not to go into the past. Like we are greater than the sum of the problems. Like, you know, we really are. There's something greater than that. And when imagine having a psychologist in our world that sits in front of you and says, hey, I don't want to know about all these problems. I get that you think that they're a factor. I would really like to know about you, and what do you want to know?
Yes. That's what this is. And I also got to say, thank you for the courage you have and had to, you know, to have people judge you and have points of view, and trusting that there's something greater, that you be something beyond that, and that you go for it every single day. I mean, you too are inspiring so many people by that choice and by those choices. And what if we all see ourselves beyond the problems we think are real, beyond all the definitions? We would create a totally different life and world. It's incredible.
And
Wow.
what I would say to people is, none of it is yours.
No.
Guys, I wish that I could like make a CD and get this to play over and over again in your world. Like secrets and hidden stuff and problems, they actually are not, none of that is yours. And like what we're looking to create here is going beyond separation, where the lies or the wrongnesses that you've bought about you can actually come up and be had in conversations where people just laugh and say, really, you think that's wrong? I mean, come on, what's the strongness in that, you know? And these are the conversations. I just had a call from a client today, you know, saying, oh my God, this is going on and I'm looking to separate. Guys, we can find plenty of reasons and plenty of justifications to make ourselves wrong, and plenty of lies. And for me, it's really being present in this possibility of what actually is true here, what is real, and what future are we looking to create here. Like, and that's what I love about you, Susanna. It's like, what future are you creating with psychology to educate us to know what you know?
Thank you. Wow. Oh, wow. Just, you know, the acknowledgement. And when we talk about future, it's, you know, many times those conversations are not had. It's the conversations we have are about the past. And we've been taught the value of the past. And seldom have we been taught the value of the now and the future. Like, it's not only about the now, it's actually the future we create. And I had a conversation with someone yesterday that was talking about the past and the value of it. And then, you know, we looked at it, and you know, we all have this thing we call our story, where we say, you know, this is the problem I have because, and then whatever comes after the because is the story we have that tells us why we don't have choice. And yeah, we've all been told that this is a very valuable thing to look at and go through. And well, what if it's not? What if some parts of the story actually give you more awareness of what might be possible? And what if parts of that story are just there to drag you back to the past? And what if you get the difference of which is which, you know? And so which part is actually dragging you down and making you heavy and telling you why you have a problem and why that's valuable? And which part of it is where you go, oh, well, this is what's going on. This is what went on in my past. Oh, cool. That's great information. I can actually use it to create a different future. Oh, wow.
And what if like we could step into that future of ease, joy, and glory in every moment, that you can look to the problems and the difficulties, or you can be like, hey, if I'm looking to create a greater world here, or if the future that I'm looking for is beyond problems and difficulties, then it comes back to me to choose to be ease, joy, and glory. That's actually what I'm looking to create in my world, you know. And that's where we all start to commit to, okay, I'm saying that I'd like a different world, but what am I being to actually create that?
Yeah, so true. And you mentioned choice, and so many people, when they have troubles and difficulties going on, we forget that we have choice for a moment. We make it all about circumstances and stories and the past, you know, because what else have we been taught to do? And then reminding each other or reminding ourselves that we actually do have choice is a totally different ball game. I just had a radio show with Simone Padour and Christine Domenico, I think is her last name. And we talked about kids and how to deal with parents, and how to deal with kids as parents, like all different aspects. And so many of those aspects were about where people think they don't have choice, they just have obligation, and where they try to change their behavior as we've been taught to, and as psychology also talks a lot about, like, you have to change your behavior. And then, you know, if you look at those situations where you try to change your behavior, like, oh, I'm going to behave different, I'm going to behave like this time, I'm going to behave totally different, watch me, like, I'm going to behave different, like it never really works. You know, it's not about the behavior, you know. It's so funny because the behavior is just like scratching on the surface. It's like scratching on the tip of the iceberg. That's not really what change is about. Change is about choice. It's about choosing something different. It's about awareness. It's about turning on the lights of what's going on in that particular situation, and then going, okay, so what else can I choose? What other choices do I have that I haven't acknowledged? And then just choosing something different. And it's not necessarily that you have to do something or behave different. It's recognizing that you do have a different choice in that situation. And then it may take a while to actually get you have a different choice. Like Rachel told about her story. She's like, oh, I have no idea how that choice looks like. I just know that I have a different choice and I'm going to make it. And then things do show up different. And it's where it's a bit tricky for the brain, you know, it's a bit tricky for the mind, because in those situations when you choose something greater and you don't immediately see how that turns out and how that looks like, the brain goes, hello, I'd like to have some proof that we actually are on the right track. Can you please, like, prove to me that we're being right here? So your brain might go a little, woo, you know, crazy there, but that's okay. You know, that's what brains like to do. And you just keep on tracking anyway and go, okay, I know there's something different. I don't know where it is, but I just know that.
And your brain can only ever reference the past anyway, you know, that's just the way it is. So what else is possible beyond that?
True story.
I'm so grateful for this conversation. Please check out Susanna's Pragmatic Psychology book. It changed my life. And the guy's house that I'm in now is my partner, and it changed his life. It was the first book that he bought. I'm not sure I told you that about Johnny, but that was the first book he bought, Pragmatic Psychology. So please check out the book and check both of us out. You'll find us, Rachel O'Brien, Susanna Mittermaier. We're really easy to find. And I really hope that this contributed to you. I know for me, it has changed my life. You know, what future can we create with the pragmatic psychology tools and with going beyond wrongness?
Thank you. And thank you, Rachel, again, for your courage. And thank you so much for your vulnerability. It's such a gift for so many people and so inspiring. So check Rachel out as well. We put the links in under the video, and see you for the next hangout. Thank you, Rachel.
Bye, love.
Bye.